RPN is not responsible for the views, actions, or opinions of its guests or advertisers. An appearance on this channel is not to be considered an endorsement. Information contained herein is not to be construed as medical or legal advice, and the viewers of this program are encouraged to do their own research. It's gonna be biblical. Good evening, everyone. It is Friday, the 13th, and this is Spiritual Warfare. Get ready, RP78 fam. Bring your stories of paranormal activity. Slow it down, RP. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love this music. This is some of my favorite. Well, guys, we've got a very special guest tonight, and that is the Patriot Report. Don't forget, as always, my co-host for Friday the 13th Spooktacular is Methods. We're going to be talking about all things paranormal, all things spooky, all things scary. And I'm serious, guys. Get your stories ready because you are going to call in and tell us about it. I know there is nothing out there that is too much for us to handle because we've seen the end, and God wins. All right. We'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor. Stephen King once wrote, "Panic is highly contagious, especially in situations when nothing is known and everything is in flux." Well, the world we live in today is in flux, and it's filled with a flood of information that's often as much gossip as fact. Now, that makes it hard to know what the situation really is, and it also makes it easy for people to panic and make bad decisions. The only way not to get caught up in that chaos is to have a plan allowing you to avoid dealing with empty store shelves, long lines, and in the worst case, desperate people. Use today to prepare. A great place to start is storing food in your home, and I'm prepared myself, and I even ordered more recently. Now, the experts at My Patriot Supply have told me that orders have now reached about 100 times the normal volume, and they're shipping on a first-come, first-served basis. With this unprecedented emergency, orders are being delayed, sometimes 8 weeks or more. I urge you to add your order to mine today because the sooner you order, the sooner you can get your purchase. Take action so you're ready for what's coming and save $70 on a 2-week emergency food kit when you go to my special website, preparewithredpill78.com. Those that know what's coming are preparing today. Go to preparewithredpill78.com. Once again, that's preparewithredpill78.com. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. Somebody said Stephen King is not a hero. No, he isn't. However, The Stand is a really good book. I'm not going to lie about that, guys. All right, well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming tonight. If somebody would do me a favor, go over to Thomas's stream and tell him that we have started. We waited a couple minutes late just so that we could wait for the end of his. Maybe he did stop. I don't know. Last I checked, he was still going, but I hope it was a good show. I didn't see much of it. I watched the beginning, but then, of course, you know, we had to get prepped for this show. And I've got two special guests in the house tonight. The first is my co-host, and that would be my brother Methods. Methods, how are you?
What's going on, Red Pill? Happy to be here for the spooky Friday the 13th show.
Yeah.
What's up, YouTube chat?
Hope everybody's doing good. Give me a 17 in the chat for Methods. I appreciate it. And then our special guest of the hour is going to be the Patriot Report. What's on Patriot Report?
Hey, buddy. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you. All right. Well, listen, before we start telling our own spooky stories, Patriot Report, why don't you tell the audience who you are and where they can go find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Report Patriot. Patriot Report was already taken, I do believe.
I thought so.
I'm pretty sure, but I can't remember. It's been so long now. But of course, because of the recent election of a Democratic governor in my state, I don't feel too comfortable disclosing my true name. Probably would affect my work, but we'll just say I work in the Department of Corrections. I handle multiple things. I mean, I do the annual report for the statistics and stuff, which basically is deaths, suicides, any kind of incidents with guards, things of that nature.
Hey, well, on that note, how likely is it that someone who had recently been on suicide watch would find themselves dangling from a 4-foot bunk bed in a cell and be the most highly guarded prisoner in the history of our nation? How likely would it be?
Less than 3%.
I would have just said 0, dude, but props for that.
Well, in my state, anyway.
So it happens. My God.
I don't know about everybody else out there, but where I'm from, you do the crime, you do the time. We're going to keep you alive as long as we can.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Listen, guys, I accidentally left the Zoom information on the screen. That was not supposed to be there. So whoever's jumping on the call, just sit tight, and we'll get to you in a few minutes. But, whoever's there, obviously you guys will get to go first. So, originally when we started chatting about you coming on, we were talking about the Jeffrey situation. As someone who is experienced in the Department of Corrections, I mean, what did you think? I remember I was on my way to an amusement park with my family, and I hear the news come over the radio, and I said, no. I said, no. This can't be real.
I woke up at, I can't remember what time it was that morning. I'm not saying it was premonition or anything like that, but I just had a weird feeling. And I was actually sitting at my desk, and John, who is a coworker, we worked pretty close together on the, in the research division. He looked over and he said, "You're not going to believe this." And I said, "Ooh." He was codenamed Big E, is what we always called him.
Okay, and, Big E. I like that.
He said, "Big E's gone." And I said, "Big E? Who you talking?" It kind of slipped my mind at first because it had been a while since, we'd really discussed him.
Sure.
He said, "He's dead." And I said, "He's not dead." He said, "He's dead. They've got, photographs and everything." And I mean, I remember I called my wife and I told her, I said, "Turn on the news. You're not going to believe what's going on." Because, we've been talking about it since he was arrested. I pretty much told her that, he wasn't going to last, very long if he was in, Gen Pop, which they put him in suicide watch for a reason, and then took him back out, and then, put him back in again. But it's just, I mean, it was, on one hand, where I'm part of that, it kind of felt like, because you all feel like one big family when you do that, when you're in that field. Kind of felt like, on one hand that we had failed, Virginia Guffrey and all those, women and children that they had, done horrible things to. But then on the other hand, it kind of started settling in, and, of course, people like you as well that, brought a lot of attention to this and light about the photographs and, all of that something wasn't right. Something, definitely wasn't right. And, you don't just lose security footage, especially when it's backed up to servers and mainframes. That stuff just doesn't happen. If it was lost on purpose. I'll put it that way.
Okay, that was something I wanted to ask you. Because it sure did not feel to me that would happen in any sort of an organic way. What about?
I would say out of all the cases I've ever done, that may have happened once, and the only reason that probably happened, twice actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Both incidences were private prisons. No state. Only thing we do is funding and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But a privately owned for-profit prison. That's the only times I can think of that actually happening, where the security footage was supposed to be there and wasn't, which, you know, if it's a for-profit prison, you know, you can pretty much bet that they're going to try anything they can to save face.
Sure.
I mean, you can pretty much, you know, bet that it was there, but it was gone for a reason.
Well, I mean, once we learned in the aftermath that those two guards had faked their logs and there was never any checks, they were both sleeping. Personally, I think that they were paid to go take a nap. And
sleeping, they were, their search history, they were, I mean, which, you know, kind of points, I can't accuse anybody, of course. That's not for me to judge anyone, but I can make a reasonable guess, I should say, with evidence that I've been given. And, you know, somebody that makes that type of salary, which I'm not saying they're not, you know, they were searching motorcycles and new furniture and vacations.
With all that cash, they got paid to take a nap.
I just, you know what I mean? I mean, I don't make a whole lot, but you know what I mean? If I got a little extra money, I'd definitely be spending, you know, it's always spent before I get it.
Sure.
It sort of seemed like the case to me what they were doing. I mean, they may have taken a nap. I can't say they didn't, but I bet they were dreaming about that new furniture.
I think it's a kindness to say that they probably took a nap. And yes, I saw a couple people mention in the chat. Yes, Muffin is sleeping. She's directly underneath me, and she is just sawing logs. Yeah, she's totally asleep. All right. Well, I want to get into more of your insights into Jeffrey, but we need to start off with a scary story here. You know, that is a scary story, but that's some true life stuff. But Methods, you held back on us last time, didn't you?
A little bit. So, yeah, I figure I know we're laughing, but we're going to talk about some dark stuff here. But yeah, I can get into it if you want me to, bud.
Yes. Let me just say these 3 super chats. Lorraine Yoss has joined as a member. Thank you so much, Lorraine. Minnie Moore says, White Hats may have spiked the Elite's adrenochrome with CV19. Follow the White Rabbit. I've heard that. We talked that today. Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. The factory where it's produced, where the pharmaceutical grade product is produced, is where? Wuhan. Very interesting. EO2 Dave says Thomas said he is sorry he cut into your show. You tell Thomas that it's okay. I hope that he had a good show because I saw only so much. I had to get ready for this. Into now says the storm is upon us. I would have to agree. And then also Kilo 1212 says where we go on, we go all. Thank you, Kilo 1212. All right, Methods. I'm glad you held off on telling us this story so that we could have another story to tell us. Because the stuff that happened to you before was, you know, Nutter style. Okay, like it wasn't no you know, easy ride stuff. You know, I mean, some people say they got a scary story. You know, they saw a shadow. You know, me, I had like a dead child that used to run by me all the time and pull my hair and stuff. What happened? What happened in this instance?
Okay, yeah, adding all these stories together, I'm glad we're splitting them up. You know, it does, you know, fit the tinfoil lifestyle. So, but yeah, I'll give this one. It's definitely one that I want to tell people it's perfect for tonight. Okay, so I'll get into it. I was about maybe I'd say 11, 12 years old. A lot of people know listening that I was a preacher's kid. You know, the one that would be getting in trouble at church, but then not getting in trouble because I'm the preacher's kid. So I just keep doing it. So anyways, there was a random, Sunday night church service, if I remember correctly. And I'm sitting over in the youth section, where all the kids and the teenagers sit. And the altar call happens, which most of the people listening who understand, it's the prayer time. People come forward, with whatever the prayers would be to be saved, healed, whatever the case is. And me being the preacher's kid, I'm just sitting there hitting on the girl next to me because I'm not paying attention, which is terrible, but it is what it is. And the next thing I know, I hear this like banshee scream, and I'm on the second row. I'm right there. And I hear this banshee type scream from the altar. And there, there's probably a good 150 people up there. So I can't see what's going on directly. So I obviously stopped hitting on the girl next to me. It didn't work out, so it's okay. And then I see people start backing off a little bit. And my father, being the preacher, just kind of stops talking in the microphone because, preachers will pray during it and then, go down and pray for people. But he just kind of stopped talking. And there's this woman who I'd never seen before. Being at every service, you typically get to know people, even though our church was probably a good 600 or 700 people at that time. And she's on the floor, and it's just these screams that I can't even fathom anybody doing. And there's a couple ushers that are essentially, you know, praying over her, but they're kind of holding her down. That sounds bad, but they have her on the ground, and she is kind of convulsing all over. And so I quickly realize, and then I say to the people around me, I say, this person's possessed, right? And then they're kind of just like nodding their head at me, you know, all right, I want to watch, you know, shut up, kid. So I look, and this woman is full blown. There's screams happening, full blown sentences out of this woman, but her mouth is not making any movements whatsoever to say the words. Like the best I can describe it as a megaphone. Like it was like a contorting mouth. I can't really do the hand gestures, being just a voicing, but it's like, yeah,
like that.
we'll go with that. But she's full blown. Like these voices are coming out. So my father comes down, and he starts, you know, praying over this woman, doing the casting out stuff that you know you kind of see in the movies type thing. And we'll just say the demon is arguing with my father, saying, no, we're not going to leave, whatever. And then my dad, being the G pastor that he was, he's like, shut up, demon. And he just keeps going. And and it went on for like 2 hours. And I know we're kind of joking around and stuff, but it was a battle. You could watch it happen, because the demon was saying things like, no, we're not going to let her go. She's mine. All these different things, but it was just his voices coming out. And they let the church leave. They said, all right, you don't have to stay here, but you know, my ride is literally casting the demons out. So I'm stuck on the second row. And so I get to sit,
Pops, I'm hungry.
Right. It's 2 hours of me sitting there watching what I assumed was like real, but you never, until you really see it. And we can compare it to movies, do all this stuff, but when you really see a possessed person, you know you're seeing something that's not your reality. But what you know, it's not anything that could be, you know, televised or acted. Like this thing was really happening for 2 hours straight.
Wow.
Now let's go ahead.
I was just going to ask, was there any like physical sensations, or was there any smells, or like did the temperature drop in the room or anything like that?
No, I mean, the hairs on my arms were up. What arm hair I had at 12. But like, I mean, it was one of those things that like you could feel the room being different. And I mean, sometime we'll go down the road of talking about empathy and, you know, empaths type stuff and feeling when evil's around. I've had those moments in life, and we'll get into that some other time. But I definitely felt like it was a battle between good and evil right there, 10 feet, 15 feet in front of me. And it went on, and after a while it stopped happening, and it went from that to the woman just stopped talking. And so they helped her up. Everybody seemed okay. It was fine. I asked my dad that night if I could sleep in the room with him, because I was terrified of what I saw at that age and all that. So yeah, exactly. So fast forward to the next day, I'm at my house. I think it was during the summer. We weren't in school or anything. And I went over to my friend's house, who's across the street, and, you know, to go play or whatever the next morning. And I go over there, and his mom, who wasn't really religious, it's like one of those, like, yeah, I'm Catholic, but like they don't do anything. And they're putting holy water on their walls. And it's a different demeanor out of his mother that I've never seen before. And I'm literally going over there to tell them what happened that night. You know, this crazy story, because I mean, it's changed my entire thinking about the supernatural realm. Not to shoot anybody down talking about demons, angels as compared to aliens and all that stuff. I saw this happen. I can't argue that there's not a, you know, spiritual battle happening, and possession, you know, is a thing. I have to say it is. But so I go over there and I'm talking to them about it. And they say, that's absolutely crazy. That must have been my mom's friend. She came over yesterday, talked about how she feels weird. She played with a Ouija board that went sideways on them. Whatever happened, I was young. I don't know what happened in it. She felt really weird over there. And then she was told by my mom that the preacher across the street has church services, and we've invited her before. She's been there a few times, but she had told her she should go to the service, and it ended up being the same woman. Talk about small town country folk. It ended up being the same person, but she ended up, how it happened was they messed with the Ouija board. It went sideways. And then my friend's mom woke up that morning and was watching shadow type stuff walking around their house.
Oh, wow.
So her being of Catholic, all this stuff, it's holy water stuff, the whole nine, the burning everything that they, whatever stuff that they burn to get that stuff away. But they ended up being
incense.
Yeah. We'll just call it that. I'm sure
the burning stuff.
Yeah, just burning stuff. But yeah, so I mean, that all happened within my world at 12, wow. And I knew back then that this was real. And you could see these things happen. I mean, being a preacher's kid in the South of a Pentecostal father, where these things, where people get healed and all these things happen, especially during the 90s. I know a lot of people listening can agree. The 90s was a very spiritual time in Southern church. A lot of people can remember those things, that happened back then. I'm trying to remember the church thing that happened in Florida, where there's thousands of people that would line up every weekend to go get into this church, and people were getting healed left and right. That was during those times. But yeah, no, it was something that changed my life, my outlook forever. And that's why I see these things happening in the real world as a battle between good and evil. Cause I literally watched a soul fought up after in a church that I grew up in.
The reason that story is so particularly terrifying to me is that I saw The Exorcist as a very young child.
Yeah. Not to cut you off real quick, but Brownsville. Yeah. Eyes wide open. Yeah. It was the Brownsville church. Look it up. Okay. It was crazy back then.
Wow. All right. Well, so obviously you're not the only one who's had some crazy paranormal experiences. Patriot Report, you told me that you lived in a house that experienced some pretty intense paranormal activity. You want to tell us about that? Oh,
yeah. But first, I want to go back. My favorite part about that story, Matt, is you said the woman came over and said she was feeling weird. The whole time I was thinking, I'd say she probably does. She's doing that in the middle of church.
Right.
But, yeah, I grew up, like I said, I'm from Eastern Kentucky, and, we have methods with no hollers, as you would say. And the place where I grew up, actually, my great-grandparents helped usher in the Church of Christ and Old Regular Baptist, which is very, very popular still to this day, both. And so there was always people over at our house, people being prayed over, being anointed, stuff like that. And my great-grandmother, very, very spiritual. Like I said, she was an Old Regular Baptist woman, always wore skirts. Never seen the woman, not even maybe pajama pants, for bedtime, but never seen the woman wear any kind of jeans, pants of any kind. Always wore hair in a bun. And never cut it, was down about to her waist, but always very, very spiritual people. Well, she passed away in the early 2000s, and after I'd graduated high school, I went to work in the coal industry, and this is before I went to college and before I got into what I'm doing now. And my grandmother, who is her daughter, was teaching school here, and she was staying in her house. She had bought the other shares out from her brothers and sisters, and so like I said, I just moved back from Nashville, and didn't want to go home to my parents, and figured I'd stay with her since she was here alone. So I slept in one room, she slept in the other, and most of the time I just crashed on the couch. But every night around the same time, right around midnight, 12:30. Something would, I don't know what it was, but something in the kitchen always, like a scurrying noise, like, somebody scooting their feet or sliding something across. And, every night at the same time. I never did have the courage to get up and look. And there were a few times that I would wake up and I could see her figure. And like I said, my great grandmother was, very close to me. I was probably, I don't want to say favorite, but I was. I won't tell the rest of that. But, so, I was around her a lot. And I could see her figure, it seemed like a lot of times looking towards the doorway. And, I spent a lot of nights wondering, if she was trying to tell me something or, let me know that she was okay or whatever. Well, flash forward about a year, and my grandmother had retired from teaching, and I had bought the house from her, so it was mine now. And like I said, they were very religious, and we all sow our wild oats, so to speak. I had a girlfriend who stayed. She didn't live with me. She stayed with me the majority of the time, and we slept in the same room together, same bed together, and all that. And that's when it really took a turn for some crazy stuff.
She's like, no.
Yeah, and that's eventually, when I came to my senses and realized and spoke with my grandmother about, worked up the courage to speak to my grandmother. She said she's probably pissed off. I'd say she is, and nothing really bad or scary ever happened to me, because after I came to grips with it and knew it was probably her, I kind of calmed down. But I would hear, like, there was an upstairs, but it was like a half upstairs. There was just like 2 rooms and to an out balcony. But I could wake up 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and it would sound like somebody was literally moving. I mean, moving in or moving out of the house upstairs. You could hear boxes. I mean, stuff just going from one side to the other, scooting back and forth.
Wow.
And you would hear bags and cans and stuff rattling in the kitchen. Mostly beer cans, but we were young. But it's like she was trying to clean up or something, or
right.
trying to. I don't know what she was doing.
Well, but, it's better than a salt shaker flying across the kitchen,
Exactly, yeah.
At least she's picking up.
My one morning I was at work. Like I said, I worked in the coal industry, and I worked day shift at the time. So we went in. I got up at like 4 and left at 5 a.m. And about 6:45, 7 o'clock, I came outside, and I worked underground at the time, and I had like 17, 18 missed calls from my girlfriend. So I called her back, and I mean, she's hysterical, and she finally got her to calm down and stuff. And I said, what happened? She said, well, I was laying in the bed. You'd got up, and I remember you leaving and stuff, and I remember kissing you goodbye, blah blah blah, and I was laying there and drifted back off to sleep, and all of a sudden I started freezing, and I woke up, and the covers were pulled down off of me down to about my knees, and we had a cat, a black cat, a male cat. His name was Louie. She said I thought it was the cat, so I just said, Louie, get off, kicked. She said so I pulled the covers back off. And she said, I don't know if I pissed somebody off or it was the wrong thing to do. She said, all of a sudden the covers just, jerked completely off the bed into the floor. And she said, I rose up to grab a hold of the cat, and, you could see clear into the living room. And she said, when I rose up, I seen Louie sitting on the back of the couch asleep. And I said, well, what'd you do? She said, well, I don't know. He might still be there. I left the door wide open and everything. She said, I'm back at, and she lived like 20 miles away. She said, I'm at my house, and I've been here for like 2 hours. I'm not going back. Don't care if you're there. Don't care if the Pope's there. I'm not going back. But, and finally, that's what made me finally, talk to my grandmother about it. She was like, it's probably, your great grandmother. And she said, that's what she told me. You've probably pissed her off. You don't lay with another woman out of wedlock around her anyway.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
But, nothing really ever bad happened after that. I think me and her ended up breaking up. I don't blame her.
Sure. Oh, that's great.
I bet she's thinking, Lord, your family, they don't like me now. I can imagine after they die what they're going to do to me.
All right, let me go through these super chats. So I need to say thank you to Jay Britt says, love y'all. Marigold's Galaxy said 17. Okay, it looks like 17.00, but I can't tell if you're just trying to say 17 and maybe your phone finished it. Hate Harchater, where Harchater? I don't know how to pronounce. You got to tell me how to pronounce that, dude. Where we go, one we go all. Thank you for that, buddy. Mark 222714 FTW says, sorry I'm late. I'm glad you made it at all. Hope you had a good time on Thomas's stream. Dana Finkler says, White Hat, Tom Brady to the Raiders. Methods, do you hear that news? Tom Brady's going to the Raiders?
If that's true, White Hat is dying inside right now. White Hat, I am laughing at you so hard.
Is that true? I'm gonna have to Google. Is that really true?
Do a Google search for me. Let's see if it's true.
No, we need to know this because White Hat needs to call in because that's a spooky story for him in itself.
I was gonna say scariest story of the night. Okay, Shine Down says $10 sending love RP78, but it says that the amount is $279. So thank you very much for the intentions. I appreciate it. Jeff George says, Crystal METH found in the hotel room with a drugged-out Florida Democrat governor nominee Andrew Gillum and 2 other men. He is taking a few weeks of personal time. Word around the campfire is one of those men has been confirmed as a local male escort. We're going to get into that in a little bit, guys. Believe me. Mark 22714 FTW says, Rosie was very feisty on Thomas's show tonight. I will definitely watch it after we finish this. Tammy's awake now.
See that.
Says, great show, guys. Angel Eyes says, for beautiful kitty, buy some treats. Thank you for that. Crash6871 says, COVID is fake. If someone gets a normal cold or an elderly dies for any reason, it's deemed CV-19. This virus is an excuse to lock the country and world down. Then on 4/10/20, the show begins. Q post 34, 3/11, 4/11, think mirror. I think this is something we spoke about earlier today, and obviously, you know, I'm inclined to believe that there is a movie in play here. You know, this is a scripted action. I don't know that it's fake. I'm not going to say it's fake. I mean, people are being reported as deceased, but, you know, we know that not all those people that have been reported as far as America is concerned are actually, like, passing away from this pandemic, you know. You know, how about down there where you're at, Patriot Report, are there any cases of CV-19?
My wife has actually been keeping up with that a lot better than I have. I think we are in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. I would say we are up to, I'm wanting to say maybe 12 cases, maybe a little bit less than that. But I know it's more than 6. But I think it's right around 8 to 12 cases. I don't think anybody's passed away yet.
Okay.
But I do have a theory about, by the way, Tom Brady didn't go to the Raiders yet. They are offering him money, but he's not going.
But Whitehead is still with us then. That's
all right, good. Well, okay, well, hold on to the theory. Let me just finish these last couple of super chats. Chef Jay's Reef says, Family Ding Dong, where we go one, we go all. Thank you for that, Chef. Floricio, good to see you, Flor. She says, the only thing I'm scared of is the Dems. I think that's definitely a worthwhile thing. Dana Finkler says, please answer my Zoom call tonight. Dana, as long as you're in the waiting line and we're not out of time, then yes, buddy, of course I'll answer your call. Cue the Music says, seen it, currently taking Deliverance and Spiritual Warfare class for the 2nd time. Check out John Eckert books. That's pretty sweet. There actually is a Spiritual Warfare class, and very interesting. Maybe we'll look into that. Tammy's awake now. Thank you again. She says, this is scary stuff. Yes, and don't forget, you guys, we're going to be opening the phones here very soon, so you can tell us your scary stories. And D's Nuts B Dragon says, Romans 13:4, it's go time. Yes, it is. And Susan Lazier, thank you very much for that super chat. All right, what is your theory, Patriot Report?
Well, I don't believe it's necessarily fake in those, in that sort of term. I do believe people have contracted it. I do believe people probably have passed away from it, especially, but like the Washington case, it was all elderly people who were, prone to illness anyway. They were all, confined in a nursing home and, all close together.
Yeah.
But I do believe this might fall into the looking glass and all that, I do believe when they started this, or before they even started it, probably when they started planning, they probably foresaw a lot of this coming. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Took steps how they would, if they done this, this is how we would react. And I do believe that their original, the cabal, so to speak, their original plans probably was to use something like this to wipe us out. But I believe that what we're seeing now was supposed to be a test run. This is my working theory. I believe that what we're seeing now was supposed to be a test run to see how it react, what they needed to do to make it deadlier or make it, attack more and stuff.
Mm-hmm. But
I do believe that, Trump and the White Hats, Patriots, foresaw it coming and pretty much, already had the blocks to stop it. So, I mean, I do believe, I read somewhere, another theory that, which a lot of people are saying this now too, that, we are in the storm and whatnot, that he is going to use this to, bring them down to, pretty much, arrest them. Whether it comes to martial law or not, I don't know. But I believe that, this crisis has already been averted. Like you said, what we're seeing is a movie, and what we're mainly seeing is, their reaction to not let them get to the next step. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So well, if you're going to go ahead and release it, then we're just going to go ahead and take you out. We're not going to give you the chance to,
right.
mutate it anymore or do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
That's just theory. That's my theory. It might not be true, but who knows?
I mean, I think it's pretty much in line with what's happening. Tanet said that there's 37 deaths in Washington as of 4 p.m. Now, the thing about it is that I know that those older people that passed away in the state of Washington weren't actually tested. They were just listed as having contracted this. And I can tell you from actual statistics so far this year, I had this pulled up here. Oh, shucks, where did it go? I
do know that they applied to the state of Washington. I don't know if it's the legislator or who, but they applied to get testing kits.
Yes.
Like in January, and I guess Inslee or whoever it was denied them, those. So now they are finally getting them. But how do we know? I mean, they might have caught the coronavirus, those 12, elderly patients, but how do we know that's what killed them?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's been 222,000 flu cases, regular flu cases this year, with 22,000 deaths from the regular flu. And we've got 1,864 confirmed cases of CV-19 and 41 deaths total. So obviously the majority of those are in the state of Washington. A little scary, but it's the Pacific Northwest. It's a little colder. It's a little wetter. Right. I mean, it could just be, the regular flu. I mean, you take the flu into an old people home, where their immune systems are already compromised, without the fact that they haven't been tested, So I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens going forward.
I mean, my grandfather is one of the toughest men I know. He's 80 years old. If he would have got just a common flu, it would rock his world right now.
Absolutely.
Whether or not coronavirus or not.
Yeah, and I mean, I consider myself to be in fairly good health too, but like every time I get the flu, I mean, I'm sleeping, most of the day. I'm out of commission. Need to say thank you to Marigold's Galaxy. She says, I'm an amateur super chatter, #shoutout17. Thank you for that. You did it right. Trisha Q Patriot Texas says, a friend insists 5G is the transmitter of CV-19. I think that my theory on that is that the effects of the frequencies probably exacerbate the effects of the sickness. EO2 Dave says, anybody here know anybody with CV? I don't, but apparently there are people around me that have it. And I just don't leave the house all that much. So what about you, Methods? Anybody at all even remotely close to you coming down with this?
I got nothing.
Okay, good. Well, keep it that way. We want to keep everybody safe. Right. Red Pill Doc says, CDC put out an article about flu in January, citing 6,600 deaths with a 6% mortality rate, less than 6.9% we use to call pandemic. Well, I don't know. The thing is, these numbers are all over the place, and I don't know what to believe. Guys.
You want to know what I want to know to believe about?
Yeah, tell me.
A story from you before we open the calls.
Oh, it's a story from me. God, well, I'm trying to think. What did I tell last time? Did I tell you guys? I told everybody about the zombie. Well, the footsteps.
I'd like to hear about the dead kid.
The dead. Okay, all right. I will tell that. So, I have a sister who's 2 years younger than I am, and she has long dark hair, and we lived in a couple different houses. One house until I was 8 years old, and then we moved to the house that my mom currently lives in still. And I would, out of the corner of my eye, I would see this little girl running by, and she was approximately the same height and build and features as my sister, but pale. Very dark hair, very pale, and she wore this green velvet dress, almost Victorian looking, with a lace collar, and I would see her run by, and I would look, and she would not be there. And a couple of times when it first happened, I thought that it was my sister, but then I realized that it wasn't my sister, and it happened at both houses, so it was almost like whatever it was followed us. And we had, the house blessed and everything, both of them. Right, yeah. There was, cleansing, deluxe, but it still happened. I have one good one. Okay, so
is it the one that you brought up before the show?
No, that's the vacuum cleaner story. I'll save that one for the end.
You can't say the vacuum cleaner story to me before a show. It's supposed to be about ghost stories and not tell it right.
Okay. I'll tell the vacuum cleaner story, and then I'll tell the birthday party story at the end of the show if we have time. So my mom was putting my sister and I down for a nap. Mom, I'm sure you remember this one, and I'm probably not going to tell it right, but this is essentially it. She was using the vacuum cleaner. It was like midday. It was a nap, okay? I believe it was also like wintertime or like fall. The door was shut. And so she stops the vacuum. It was also a Kirby, okay? If anybody here has ever used a Kirby, there's like a clutch on that thing. It's like you're pushing a V. Yeah. You got to turn it on and then engage. So she takes us upstairs and she's reading us a book, and the vacuum cleaner turns on. So she's like, that's weird. Let me go downstairs. And so she turns it off, and then she comes upstairs. She starts reading to us again. The vacuum cleaner turns on again. Keeping in mind that you have this, you have to engage it, and it's not just like it's just going to come on its own. So after the third time of it happening, she was like, I think you should just go to sleep, and went downstairs. There was no there was like no possible way that somebody was coming into my house and like playing a joke and turning the vacuum on. It wasn't happening. So that was it was one of those things. Like stuff like that would happen a lot. Not necessarily scary, but when you have like a lot of weird stuff like that happening all the time, it informs your childhood. Let me just say that. You're thinking about that. Sammy Q Patriot says, what do y'all think about the rumor that maybe some elites got tainted adreno what from using CV19 or using CV19 as an excuse for the tainted stuff? I mean, I can tell you this. I saw on some documents that the pharmaceutical grade product is produced in a factory in Wuhan. What do you guys think about that, tying those two theories together with a thread?
I'll say this. As someone whose grandmother was allergic to pretty much herself, everything, I had to be trained on EpiPens, and I didn't even find out that, that adrenal was a byproduct of tainted expired EpiPens until like a year. I think I've seen it on here. Actually.
It was on my show, yeah.
Yeah, and no, that wasn't pre-planned. I had no idea we'd even be talking about that. But I mean, that could be a possibility. I mean, you all said the other day that someone was selling their freaking blood. Their tainted blood. I mean, so I could see that happening.
Yeah, definitely. Methods,
in
you got
this
any
day and age, I am never surprised anymore.
No, absolutely. No, it's like pretty much we're living in the Twilight Zone, I feel like sometimes. But Methods, do you got anything to add to that? Because I did have a couple of tweets I wanted to go over. The first one being from Baron Trump. I forgot to talk about it earlier today.
No, just like Patriot Report said, like I'm not surprised by anything at this point. I don't jump immediately to, oh, this person's sick. It must be adrenochrome. I don't personally do that. I like to it's okay to wait. But no, it is definitely interesting. So go with your tweets, bud.
All right. So we have a tweet from Baron Trump. He said he retweeted Hillary. Hillary's tweet said, everybody from the president on down needs to be focused on two things. One, how to prevent the spread of this virus as much as possible. Two, how to support state and local officials, hospitals, doctors, and nurses so they can take care of the seriously ill. And then she quotes CNN. Well, he says, hey, Hillary, the CV19 is going to testify against you. Work your magic and suicide it.
So good.
This is really Baron Trump. Everybody should follow this guy if you're not following him yet, because I tweet at him all the time. I want him to respond to me or at least follow me back so that I can get some.
He's got like a golden platform of being a savage troller for the rest of his life.
Yes.
And they say he is keep going. I'm sorry.
I say he can't even drive yet. And he's absolutely has the opportunity to just be at the bar that his father set with trolling. It's got to be fun.
Well, they say he is like an expert when it comes to technology, computers, and they claim he could even hack if he wanted to. And I'm sure, I don't know if he's walking into NSA or anything like that. I'm not going to say that, but he's a very interesting young man. I'll put it that way.
He sure is. We got a new tweet from the president too. He says, to those families and citizens who are worried and concerned for themselves and their loved ones, I want you to know that your federal government will unleash every authority, resource, and tool at its disposal to safeguard the lives and health of our people. I feel like that is a pretty decisive statement.
Well, I mean, of course, in the realm of, the COVID-19, that makes sense. But if you want to see, that's a very umbrella statement, don't you think? Like,
Yeah.
they tried to subvert an election.
Mm-hmm.
They've tried to ruin a presidency. They've ruined the lives of administration people, and they want to do it again to 2020, and they want to spy on American citizens. So that to me was one of those, like, you can read it both ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's saying, you know, like, don't worry. There's no reason to worry. Everybody be comfy because we will use every tool at our disposal. And I think we all know that that means up to and including some martial law. I thought it was very interesting today, you guys, that nobody at the presser, not a single person in the mainstream media, brought up the fact that the National Guard has already been enacted in 6 states, perhaps more now.
I saw reports about how they're talking about all 50.
Yes, I saw that too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's within his power to do so. Kennedy got his brother to do it against George Wallace. They, federalized the National Guard. I mean, it's within the president's realm to be able to do that.
Okay, I'm sorry. My mother texted me, and I just wanted to see what she said. EO2 Dave wanted to know how many subs I got during the stream today. I actually don't know that I got any additional subs. Oh, I think it looks like I got a couple hundred extra subs. That's awesome. Good stuff.
Hey, this is a friendly reminder to click that like button, share the stream tonight, subscribe if you aren't, which I'm sure everybody is. And yeah, man, we're getting close to taking those call-ins, huh?
Yeah, we're about to. I'm just going to do these super chats. Q-Wife Maga Life says Pelosi just did a presser. According to her, all the great measures Trump announced today were her and other Dems' ideas. Hashtag ABORTION fund grabbing. Social Observer says, my friends and I encountered a demon with a Ouija board and we freaked and we burned it and threw it in the dumpster. It was on the doormat the next morning. Holy jeez. Crunch Munch says, hey from South Dakota, glad you were back with the living RP78. Keep up the great work. Love your channel. Where we go one, we go all. All right, guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for those generous super chats. We're going to get to our first caller, and it's Alexandria, Occasional Cortex, a horror story in her own right. AOC, you are on the air with the Patriot Report, Methods, and Red Pill 78. And Simone's right here. Muffin's down there. Oh, no. Muffin went behind my green screen. Chi-Chi's down below. What's up, buddy?
Here we go.
How are you, congressional candidate? Or are you running as a representative?
Fantastic.
Are you running for Congress or for the a Senate seat? What is it?
It is official. I am running for the United States Senate.
Okay.
In the great state of Arizona. And there's a reason why we don't say his name.
Yeah.
Which is also the reason why I'm running for Senate in Arizona.
Well, beautiful. Are you gonna like give us a website tonight, or are you gonna tell us your real name?
Yeah, my name's Mark Kavanagh. And
Mark Kavanagh.
Mark Kavanagh for Senate. It's nice to officially meet everybody there. My non-anonymous red pill moment here.
Beautiful.
And I'm really thrilled to have it. I think we were right on the same timeline about December when you started getting more into your show, and I was pretty early on in your show there, and so it's been great to see this community grow and get so knowledgeable. And when something like what's been going on around us, and that's my spooky story, try getting a bunch of petitions signed by a bunch of people when everybody's locked up in their houses.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Do you at least get an extension or anything like that?
No, I just need your help to get that done online. And I know we didn't schedule a proper interview for that quite yet, and which I'm available to at any time, but let me start with some digits for everybody.
Okay.
The long one is Cavanagh4Senate.com.
Spell it.
Cavenagh4Senate.com. And the easy version, which directs to that, is AOC.TV.
Oh, sweet.
And that's a 0, like a 0% chance of becoming a socialist country.
Oh, man.
And also great-awakening.tv as well.
Good stuff.
So all 3 of those sites will redirect my campaign
Awesome.
page, and then upon the filing, after I get all the the petitions in, then that'll be April 6th is the deadline for that.
Okay.
And then the AOC.TV will have a life of its own, and that will be a fun way to keep doing what we've been doing in the anonymous side of things. But I'm certainly, I may be the first Senate candidate to be an openly Great Awakening candidate.
That's awesome.
But it's actually the name of the company of my campaign is Great Awakening SC, which stands for Service Corporation.
Okay.
I've developed a lot of not NGOs, nonprofit side, and also the first benefit corporation in California that was a film company formed in the B Corp model. So not everybody's aware of it. It's still new in a lot of states, but most states have it now. So it's like a hybrid between a for-profit and a charity. But anyway, yeah, I'm really excited to learn so much about what's going on and reasons why Arizona is so important, reasons why California is so important.
Oh yeah, definitely.
To this plan and in deep state. And a lot of, actually in my career, a lot of people that are at the top of this, deep state kind of apparatus. I worked with a lot of them, quite a few of them. But really good people that I think got up into there. But I had the Google's engineering director on my board of directors. I had Microsoft's Worldwide Partner Group on my board of directors. I went up to the UN, became the first nonprofit record label / production company to actually be invited into the United Nations. And that was through the Conference of NGOs. And I was always independent. I was the one that started the companies, and my reasons for starting these companies were very spiritual and along the lines of, the topic of our call-in show tonight. I've got a couple sort of, spooky stories in my life that led me to this journey for sure. But
Mark,
yeah,
I was just gonna say, why don't you pick one and tell us so that we've got the mixture of your announcing your Senate run as well as sticking with the topic of the show. I want you to call in on another night. Send me an email so we can schedule just an entire show to talk about your platform and what's going on there. But tell us the spooky story.
Cool. I sent it to the Proton Mail. I sent one tonight right before the show, so it's in your inbox.
Perfect.
But it's actually about the flu. So my sister, Robin, was her name. She passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to
hear that. She got the flu about 4 or 5 years ago. And her defenses got down, and she was vomiting a lot. And unfortunately, was dehydrated and eventually fell into a coma because just couldn't keep enough water down. And over the course of a week of that, eventually it caught up with her. So yeah, drink your water. Rule number 1, the flu, that was just a normal flu. And so the flu is, can be deadly. A lot of people die every year. So keep that in mind. This is not a pandemic we're in. More people die, real people are dying of regular flu. And just drink lots of water, number 1, and wash your hands. But so when she died, we were on the family plan with Verizon, and we switched the family plan, took her off, of course. She passed, and her phone was disconnected, and we switched companies even.
Mark, is everybody there?
I'm here, man.
I'm here.
AOC. He's telling a story about the phones and his phone stops working.
Phones cuts out. Yeah, that's funny. That's what I was thinking. Seems like.
Well, I mean, that was plenty of time to give
there
to
you
him.
are. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So
I got
I'm
disconnected for a second.
no problem. No problem. But yes, go ahead and finish that story up.
Oh yeah. So anyway, that summer, maybe 6 months later, my brother gets a text message from my sister's phone number.
What was the content of the text message?
And it was very cryptic. It didn't really make sense. There was a couple of words that seemed to be words, but it was a total puzzle. And so we called Verizon, and they elevated me up to their third highest technical support level.
Wow.
And they got back to me. It took them a couple days of this actually, and they got back. And they said, there is no scientific explanation. We can't tell where this text originated from.
Wow.
And then 2 weeks go by. I get goosebumps just thinking about this. But then I get a call from my sister's number. And my jaw drops. And 2 weeks later, right? and I pick up the phone, and it's white noise.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yes.
Whoa.
And I could hear in the white noise. I couldn't make out anything discernible, but it was something. There was something beyond the white noise in there that I could hear, and it was just crazy. But it was a physical, scientific kind of thing. At this point, I'm on the phone with T-Mobile now, and I give them the whole story, and they investigate into this, and I tell them everything, and they say, this makes no sense. That number wasn't on our plan, but again, the call doesn't seem to have originated from any specific tower. Mm. And so anyway,
it was a Michael Keaton movie with that same thing. That's wild.
Yeah. No, this is where he tells us none of this ever happened. It was the Michael Keaton movie.
No,
yeah.
This was honest to God. This was a true story.
Wow.
No, I believe you. I was just saying
Robin.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Mark, excellent story, dude. I'm glad we stuck through it. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you calling in, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Great. All right.
All
Ciao
right,
for now.
Right.
Yep.
Take care, buddy.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh,
Bye, Patriots.
Peace. That was a great way to start off.
That was awesome.
AOC, it's not letting me remove you. What won't let me remove you? No, his
kind of like the real AOC.
Yeah, we all want to
get rid of her.
All right. Well, hopefully he'll bounce off when we. Oh, Cisco Lady Liberty. Good.
I've been told in the chat that Cisco had a story to tell.
Yep, I heard this too. Cisco Lady Liberty. Hey, you got your avatar changed. That's awesome.
Boom.
She'll pop in just a second once her microphone is ready. Okay, you guys, I have heard tell that Cisco Lady Liberty has a real spine tingler that she's going to be telling us tonight. While we're waiting for her microphone to get popped in, let's see. Mel C says, Baron is Q, POTUS equals Q+. Can you imagine? Yes, I can. Tammy's Awake Now had asked for us to get to the callers, which we did. And then also Michael Smagas says, Mike Maga loves you. Dana Finkler asked for the Zoom link. Tammy's Awake Now said, ghost stories, please. That's right, Tammy. We're doing ghost stories the rest of the night. Love Vibration Nation says, Bill Gates population control. CV kills old people. We got your mic coming through there, Cisco. Go ahead and mute the stream in the background. It's Gates funded it and just resigned from the Microsoft board. Hashtag Jeffrey, hashtag panic. Any questions? Where we go one, we go all. Doug, Cisco, you got to mute the stream in the background, hun. Doug F610, welcome. as a member of the channel. And then Lisa Lady says, 15 years ago, I was in Rome, Florence, and Venice. The thoughts of the Italian people who are suffering, we are thinking of them all. 14-day honeymoon made memories forever. I pray for them. All right. Cisco Lady Liberty, are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. How are you? Can you hear us? Cisco Lady Liberty. Cisco Lady Liberty.
Okay. Now I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Oh, I don't know how to tell you how to do this if you can't hear us.
But I can tell
Yeah.
through my phone. You can hear me. Just shake your head. You hear me, love?
Yes.
Okay. Hi! You should use sign language. Make the heart with your hands if you can hear me. Do the heart. Okay, excellent. Okay. First of all, I'm loving to be here. Hi, Methods. Hi, Patriots. Okay. This is kind of my genre because I am the producer host of my own paranormal podcast. So this is right up my dark alley. I'm just kidding. I always try to keep light in my podcast. I always try to put forth what you do, Red Pill, is just put the light out there. God wins. Your infinite spark within you is always going to beat the darkness. I don't care how tiny your pinpoint of light is. It's always going to beat it. So that's what I try to put out there. So I'm going to tell you a little ghost story that happened to me. Is that good? Shake your head, yes?
Yes.
Okay. I'm a much better producer on my own show, I promise.
Good boy, Red Bill.
When I was a little girl, I love you, Methods. I see your symbol. I can't hear what you're saying, Methods, but I love you so much.
He can hear you.
Here we go. Here we go. When I was a little girl, I was about 6, and my mom used to get off the bus when I was in kindergarten, and the bus would drop me right out in front of my grandma's house, little gray house that my granddaddy built. It was a great little house, and no air conditioner or anything like that. So when it was hot, she used to always have a snack for me, but I always used to. Can you still hear me, Red Pill? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. So I used to go down in this dark cellar. It sounds spooky, but I loved it because it was nice and cool down there. And it was, like would there be baskets of apples, and she had her canning and stuff there. And I would always get an apple, and it was nice and cool. And I would always go in the sewing room. There's a sewing room there. And my great-grandma would be in there with that old Singer sewing machine. You know, the kind you pedal with your feet, and the needle would go up and down. And she was just the neatest lady. She was almost full-blooded Lenny Lenape. And she used to love to tell me stories about when she was a little girl. She told me about herbal stuff, and she'd tell me all about the different things that she would sew with the machine. And she used to let me sit on her lap, and I could pedal the machine. And she'd tell me stories about the blue dress that she was hemming or something like that. She worked to a dance, and now she was going to make a quilt and that kind of thing. It was just neat, and it was just fun. And we lived there for about a year or two, and she would teach me even how to speak some Native American and phrases and words and things like that. So I had 7 brothers and sisters, and the youngest one when I was born was already, almost done with high school. So being the baby, I didn't get to see a lot of them. They all kind of went their separate ways and everything. And I was about 26. I think, it was about 20 years later. I was about 26. We finally all got together for a reunion and start talking about the old days and different things that happened. And somebody brought up the little house that my grandma and grandpa and everybody had. And I said, whatever happened to that Singer sewing machine? I mean, that thing was beautiful. And I, just how great grandma used to show me all the things on how to sew. And I explained some of the stuff. And we got to talking about Native American and stuff like that. She said, somebody told me she never taught me any of that. And I said, well, I guess I was just lucky. And my sister was kind of getting mad. And I'm like, why is she getting mad? And, I'm thinking, well, maybe she's just jealous. She didn't get to spend this time, and something like that. So I'm telling a couple other stories and telling her how she used to have this beautiful long gray salt and pepper hair, and it looked really coarse, but when you brushed it, it was so soft. It was just beautiful. She told me she called it plaiting, and it's a braiding, and she used to let me braid it. And right then, my sister was like looking through a picture album or something, and she just slammed it shut and popped it on the table. And she said, "That's it. I've had enough." And I'm like, "Whoa, what's wrong with you?" and she looks at me. She goes, "How old were you?" And I said, "Well, I was in kindergarten, so 6, 7 years old, something like that. We lived there about a year." And she said, "And where was this?" I said, "In the cellar, in the sewing room. You remember the old Singer sewing machine?" She starts asking me a couple other questions, and she said, "That's it." She goes, "You're lying." And I said, "Whoa, wait a minute. I'm not lying." She said, "Yes, you are." And she said, "And I'll tell you why." She said, great-grandma was going down, taking some cannon down in that cellar, and she fell down those stairs, and she broke her hip. And it took them a lot to get her up those stairs, and she was on that cold floor, and she went to the hospital. She got pneumonia with a broken hip. And after they moved her out of the hospital, she got a little better. She went into a rehab hospital. Complications set in, and she passed. And I said, "Oh, my God, I never know that happened. That's horrible. No wonder Grandma would never go down those stairs. She must have been afraid of them." She said, "Absolutely." Everybody was scared of those stairs. They were so steep. And she said, "But I know you're lying, and I got you." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Because I carried you on my hip to her funeral, and you were 3 years old. You never danced with Grandma. You never plaited her hair, and you never learned that sewing machine." I said, "Oh, yes, I did, baby."
So Grandma came to you after she was already gone. I think everybody understands, but I wish you could hear me. Grandma came to you.
I can hear you in one ear.
Okay, so Grandma came to you after she was already gone.
I can hear you a little bit.
Okay, Grandma came to you after she was already gone. So this was well after she had died, 3 years after she had died, and she was visiting you and teaching you these things. That is incredible stuff.
3 to 4 years.
Wow. Wow.
That's awesome.
That is very, very cool.
3 to 4 years, Red Pill. And I look at it this way. It was the most beautiful thing.
Well, and you didn't
It was
realize
the most
she was
beautiful
gone,
thing
right?
because I think to her as a young girl being Native American, she could not admit who she was back then because, a lot of bad things happened. I'm sure everybody knows. But I think she wanted to come back to somebody that would carry it on. And so just know that I think that love is one of the most powerful energies out there. So when you're going through these difficult things right now, just know that love energy is the most powerful energy out there. God's got this. You are a frog. Be a frog. Frogs do great in the storm. We got this, and I love you all. I can't hear you, but I love you so much. Just remember that God wins, and light will overcome the darkness.
All right, love you.
Happy Friday the 13th.
Happy Friday the 13th. Thank you, Cisco. I appreciate it. Bye. Great stuff.
Man, we got
That
a
was
bunch
pretty
of people. We got a bunch of people waiting in the,
Yeah.
in the call stuff. Let's try to keep it to great stories so far. Loving it. Let's keep it to as short as we can to get to everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys being willing to do that. Katie, Love by the Moon. All right, Katie, I don't know if you can hear me yet, but or if you could hear what Methods was saying, but we've got 19 people on the line, so I'm just going to ask everybody to please tell your story as quickly and succinctly as you possibly can so that we can get to as many of these as we're able to. Katie, are you there?
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going.
Good stuff. So what is your scary or spooky story?
Well, as you know, I sent you some of the pictures from the book, some videos, some evidence from our case.
Well, and let's just, for the sake of the audience, there was an actual book written about the case of paranormal activity that took place in your home, correct?
Absolutely, there was. Now,
all right.
it
So
was,
I'd imagine there's a whole host of different stories you could tell us.
well, yeah, and I'm going to condense it because it went on from 2009 until May of 2016 when we left the home.
Okay.
Yeah, it Sorry, it's nerve-wracking telling it, but I think it needs to be told for a specific reason. Okay, so in 2009, I had made my now ex-husband leave, and he was just not a good guy. So that was June. In July of 2009, my son started having insomnia problems. My middle son, he was then 17 years old, and he was telling me he heard footsteps. I'm thinking, kids being kids, whatever, they're making up stuff. Until, oh my God, until one night, basically him and his friends were gone. All the kids were gone. I was taking care of my children by myself, 5 of them at that time. 3 had already been raised that weren't mine. So, anyway, I know I'm stumbling. I'm so sorry. Anyway, it went from footsteps to that night when they were gone. And I was just laying on my side on the couch, and it looked right into the kitchen. It's an old bungalow. Okay, in Michigan, we have a lot of old bungalows, and their doorways are just kind of funky. All of a sudden, the faucet turns on. That was the first experience. And I wish it was the last experience. But unfortunately, it got even worse for us. Going forward, this was like a regular thing in our lives all the time, the walking upstairs, like, right across on the side. So, like, if I was in the living room, it would be above my head, which was in an attic space that the first homeowner, I was a third homeowner because I grew up in that home. Projecting forward here, I told you again, I'm really sorry, you guys. This is really hard because it's going to be very emotional for not just me, but you guys. All of a sudden, we started hearing things like being thrown in the basement, but there was something thrown in the basement. And then there was this night that was about 2011. My daughter was 15 at the time. She was laying upstairs charging her phone, back to the door or whatever. All of a sudden, something went shh in her ear. She came flying down the stairs, just in a panic. I was in bed, and she's like, Mom, 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 something just talked to my ear. Can I come into the bed? I'm going to be honest. She slept in my bed for 2.5 years, and you'll find out why.
Wow.
2.5 years, a girl that age. So it started where I felt something sit on the end of my bed. Then that scared the hell out of me. Sorry. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Now, that same night, something was pulling on my comforter. And then I'm like up against my daughter in terror. I'm like, oh my God, this is all coming real. We were very emotional, understand. A lot of things are going on. All of a sudden, I look over at the door, and there's this image, a black shadow image of like a body, but its arm was on the inside of the door like it was holding it. At that point, I was flipping my lid. Then it goes further until I could get through the simple things, like I had a desk at my grandmother's, and it would shuffle through everything. It would literally open one drawer, shuffle through the drawer, shut it, and go through the other door. And this was located upstairs in an empty bedroom. That's where you saw some of the photos.
Yeah.
Of an empty bedroom. And here's where we get to the worst parts of it all. My daughter's boyfriend at the time, my youngest daughter, he came over, good guy. He didn't do anything wrong, you guys, because I would have slapped him upside the head, being a mom. Went to go to the door and open it. I was on the headset. I used gaming at that point because I had a spinal injury to recover the use of my hand and my right arm. And through the headset, I heard this horrible freaking moan that was so loud, and it scared the hell out of me. And I said, what the hell was that? My kids are looking at me. My oldest daughter, at the time, second oldest daughter, happened to be visiting. Well, the girls jump on the couch. My youngest son is like at my feet at this point. The boyfriend walks backwards, never turning back, sits on a love seat, and he's like, I'll be staying for a while. Time passed. We had a puppy that was given to us. This is moving a little bit into 2012. In 2012, January 21st, I got a call that my oldest daughter was murdered. And we had a puppy that my ex-husband brought over. And I have one of those, the oversized couches with the big pillows?
Yeah.
Okay, I had one of those, and here's this little puppy sitting in the middle. I had one dog that passed away in August from Cushing's, and I had my big old man husky dog. Well, this puppy's laying on there, and it's like something shoved her from behind, and she hit the floor.
Oh my gosh.
And she yiked, and the other dog yiked. Well, then the dog started looking at the doorway to the basement and the bedroom and upstairs. And my one big guy dog, he would just dip his head like he was threatened, and at other times the little one would go to my room, but she would back up. Literally back up, not even turn around. And she'd come running towards me when she got to a certain point. Well, during this, and you guys can find this in my playlist, I do have discs. I should have burnt them, and I'm sorry. I should have gave you some copies of the original, but you have it. You have enough. I couldn't take it anymore. Okay, there was just too much happening. There was too many witnesses. There was, that were outside of the house, that were in the house. And it was, you couldn't sleep at night. It just built emotion. We're already emotional, right? And just in December of 2011, we lost my brother-in-law. Was a good man. And so that was really hard, him and then my daughter. So I went searching, you guys, and there is a paranormal society. You can look online, and it's for every state. And so I contacted some people. One came over, they interviewed me. So this is a full process that they do, because they don't want to they want to make sure nobody's, full of it. They want legit people that are going through problems. Well, they came over and did their first investigation. Wonderful people. None of the kids were in the house. I didn't want the kids in the house, especially my youngest. He was only 12 years old at the time. Anyway, there was something that came through, and I will tell you about it in a little bit. But we have, you'll hear the voices if you go on my playlist, everybody. None of that's made up. Yes, they challenged it. Yes, excuse my basement, because I couldn't go up and down stairs when you look at the videos. There was a voice that said mama. And they didn't tell me until the second time that they came out with the evidence. And to me, that was her saying, mama, I'm okay. I'm sorry, it is emotional.
No, it's okay. I'm so sorry for your loss. That's horrible.
That was pretty tragic. I mean, court was horrible.
Yeah.
The whole thing, but that was almost kind of bittersweet, because you have something coming through saying mama very loudly, but there was these other voices that came through. They were doing their investigation that first time, and it seemed to target my youngest daughter and myself. and there was this black mass. I mean, you would go by my basement stairs and you felt immediate terror. You just left the kitchen. You just got out of there. So anyway, there was this voice underneath the bed in my daughter's room that she never slept in that said, "Protect the girl."
Oh my God.
And I'm like, God, baby, you know? And he said, listen, you've got poltergeists, you've got all kinds of things on here. But I hate to tell you, you have got something in your house, and I believe that I know where it is, but you know, we're gonna have to come back. He didn't tell me. He did show me the first sketch. Those were my grandparents, okay, that you saw pictures of. That was my great grandmother, and that was my grandfather. The guy never saw any pictures. And also, I know I'm jumping around everybody. I'm so sorry. Anyway, there was a voice in the second video that I sent you. And it says, is there any family members that you have here? And it says Paige. That's what we call my daughter. Her name's Lillian Paige. It was in her voice. She wasn't there. They were never there. The only time they pulled her in for investigations, for an investigation was the very final 5th investigation they did. And that's when methods, we come into how we were talking, Red Pill asked you about temperature changes. Something was sitting between me and one of the investigators. I mean, I'm telling you guys that this was the most horrific experience of our lives. It would lock doors on us. It would open doors. You're sitting there and a door would just fly open. My one oldest son came to visit me. And we got covers and everything. And I think, didn't I send you a video from my youngest son's iPod?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
It's very grainy, but basically, audience, what happened was my son was watching TV in his room. He heard a noise. He turned on his iPod and he caught an apparition pop in on the right corner and then move out. It was looking at him, looking at it. So basically they told us to keep calm. I had to have 2 cleansings on the home. The first cleansing, they came in and you see the photos with the black shadows and whatever. Doesn't do it justice, but this black shadow was horrible. And he was just everywhere. He started coming through our devices, our phones. My friend even caught it. One of my long-term friends caught like this really grainy, groany voice. And he said, "What was that?" I'm like, "You heard it?" And he's like, "Yes, I heard it." And of course I start crying because at this point you think you're going insane.
Yeah.
Because every day, you're going through something every night. The kids are just horrified.
Oh, Katie, that's awful. Listen, I am so sorry, but we've got so many other callers, and that is just an enormous amount of paranormal activity. Yes, Patriot.
I just wanted to say, ma'am, before you go, thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
That was very emotional, very powerful. I'll let this piece of information slip. I have a 4-month-old daughter. Her name is Presley. As soon as you start speaking about your oldest daughter, I walked straight. I don't know if it was just, a fatherly instinct, but I walked straight in the living room and took her away from my wife. And so if you hear a baby whining, I apologize, but I cannot imagine what you went through, what you go through every day. And as one parent and human to another, I know sorry can't do it justice, but I am deeply, deeply sorry for your loss.
Yes, absolutely. Now, Katie, what's the name of your channel so that people can go seek this out and find more specific information about the case?
Okay, well, mine is Love by the Moon.
Love by the Moon on YouTube, right?
Yes, and
Okay.
you can, my playlist, it'll say paranormal. You can also go to Into the Afterlife Paranormal. That's the investigator's website. Click on evidence. We're on there. It's listed as the Royal Oak case. So I'm verifiable. The
Wow.
book is called Into the Life Paranormal, and I'm not. Trust me, I'm not. He should have asked, and he never asked for my permission to put our story in.
Wow. Wow. That's heartbreaking.
But Brian Danhausen is the author, but Brian is very huge in the paranormal specter. He really is, and he did treat us well. And I'll shut up because I
Well,
know there's a lot of people. And thank you
Katie,
so much.
thank you for sharing your story. I really appreciate it. And again, I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you so much. You guys take care, okay?
You too. We'll talk to you soon. All right, guys. Wow, that was a harrowing experience. We've got 18 more people to go, so please, guys, I appreciate if everybody can just tell their story as quickly as possible, because we do want to try to get to everybody. Let's see. We have Harvester coming up next. We're just waiting for Harvester. And again, everybody, please give prayers for Katie, because that's just awful. I don't think anybody truly understands what the loss of a child can do to you unless you've been in that situation. Harvester, you're on the air, but we've got no audio. While we're waiting for you to get that audio, Chris Hawkins just said, Chuck Missler proved, I think in Matthew we have guardian angels. There is more in the unseen.
I think I got you there, do I?
Yes, we're here. We're here, buddy. I'm just reading the super chat. Why so much warring for us? Because God created us to become very powerful. All right. Harvester, what is your scary story, buddy?
I've had tons of scary stories, but
well, tell us the scariest.
The scariest was probably when I had my brain surgery.
Okay.
And when I had my brain surgery, I was out for 3 days. And for 3 days, I was in hell because I was a non-believer and I was into black magic and the black arts.
Oh, wow.
And I was in hell. And it was absolutely terrifying. It's the only way that I can really even give you some kind of grasp to the gravitas of the situation is that there's a complete lack of God altogether there.
Mm-hmm.
So by complete omission, it is complete anarchy. And even myself screaming at the top of my lungs, I couldn't hear myself by the muting, by all the screaming of all the others down there as well.
Wow. That is terrifying.
Yeah. And I've had a lot of experiences afterwards. You think I would have learned my lesson, but I became a part of the Satanic Brotherhood, the real Satanic Brotherhood, and was doing deals with demons and all sorts of things of that nature. I could go on and on and on, but I'm not going to take up your time here.
You're not doing it anymore, though, are you?
No. I actually I found Christ, and interestingly enough, that goes on to a whole nother conversation about going to heaven.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, listen, we'll do a near-death experiences show, and you can call in and tell us about that, specifically on that. But gosh, that is very, very frightening, Harvester. I'm glad that you made it out, and I am glad that you were able to call in and tell us about it.
Thank you.
All right, brother. Thanks for your call, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
Buddy.
Man, I can't even imagine. Coming up next is Chris Hawkins. Chris, what is your scary story? We're getting you pulled up. As we're getting you pulled up, Big Hair Tsunami says, extraordinarily haunting shirt. I wore that in 1976, Elizabeth Gardner Elementary, first grade. How much? Put it on Christie's auction house. I'll bid, but you have your girlfriend wash and dry it, bro. Can't trust you with non-flannel. I wore this to channel the spirit of Kevin Bacon in Friday the 13th. Chris, you're on the air, buddy. What's your scary story? Chris, can you hear me? Chris Hawkins.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so this is, yes, can you hear me?
Yes. What's your story, bud?
Okay, gotten a lot of feedback again this time. but I'll be quick. So in Alaska, I was born in Alaska, had siblings. We were being baptized, and when I come out of the water, I'm looking out at the congregation, and there's like these smoky figures, like foggy figures. Some of them are sitting next to people. Some of them are like, looks like they're talking with them. Some of them are passing through people, and I didn't know what I was looking at. I didn't speak about it for years and years and years. When we got dried and into dry clothes and church was over, we go outside and our friends are like talking to me saying, "What were you looking at? What were you looking at?" And I didn't know how to answer them because I didn't know what it was. And I found out years later, the pastors went and spoke to my mom and was like, "Something happened to Christopher in the baptismal tank." And she never told me that either for years and years and years. And so this is a different type of scary story. This is a scary story for the demons, because we have so much power that we're not really tapped into it all. But this is a scary story for the demons.
So, did anybody else see it? Chris, are you still there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes, buddy. All right, so you saw these wispy...
No, nobody else saw it.
Nobody else saw it, okay.
Just me.
Well, that's very terrifying.
Sorry, there's some major feedback.
All right. Well, listen, Chris, I appreciate your call, buddy. We'll move on to the next caller, and hopefully next time we won't get the feedback. All right.
Well, ever since then, it's been very easy for me to talk to people about God. But yeah.
Good. All right, brother. I appreciate your call. Thanks, Chris. We'll see you, buddy. All right. Who's up next?
That last thing he said could be the very reason God showed that to him.
Yeah.
So it would be easier for him to speak to other people.
100%.
Let me show you what it could be like.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, we've got Aaron up next.
Hey, buddy. All right.
Aaron, mute your stream. Aaron, what is your scary story, bud?
Well, it's really strange. I'll do it as quickly as I can. For years, I used to watch the news. I haven't watched the news since 2001, but prior to that, my whole life, I watched the news. Every time I saw a picture of a missing person, like a missing child, I knew instantly if they were alive or dead.
Oh, wow.
And I was always right. And I'd be thinking to myself, what is this? I'm just guessing, right? Then one time I was at this dinner party, and this daughter of one of the people there was showing her graduation pictures, and she opened it up, and I got that feeling from the picture that she was dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, this proves that that's wrong, because she's obviously alive. She's right here.
Mm-hmm.
1 week later, she passed away in a train accident.
Oh my gosh.
And I felt so guilty for not saying anything, but what was I going to say?
Right.
So.
Oh man, have you ever had that feeling and it turned out to be something good?
Yeah. Like when Elizabeth Smart was kidnapped.
Yeah.
I knew she was alive.
Okay.
But it's because there was a long time where her parents even thought maybe she was dead.
Mm-hmm.
But I intrinsically knew that she was alive.
Wow.
So it's really weird. But since that happened, I've kind of like not wanted to look at pictures because I just don't want
well,
I don't know.
I mean, that's a big responsibility, I would imagine, and I mean, like, who wants to be haunted by that?
Right.
Well, geez, Aaron, that's pretty scary, dude.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Please don't ever look at my pictures.
Yeah. Outstanding. All right, buddy.
How you got the game too?
Yes, I got the game. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but tomorrow I'm going to.
It only takes like 5 minutes to play. Usually.
All right, I got the super cubes too, dude. And you're right, you can't bounce them more than once.
can't.
Very cool. Aaron invented these super cubes, and he invented the game Tetragon. And yeah, he sent me them, and they're very, very interesting. Very cool stuff, dude. All right, tell the people the website so they can go get your game if you want.
Well, they can get a hold of me on my Facebook page.
Facebook.
Aaron Moriarty, and I got a Hot Games and Puzzles Facebook page there.
All right, sweet, good stuff. Aaron, thanks for the call, buddy. I appreciate it. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Oh man, yeah, that is not a responsibility that I would want to have myself, you guys. Let's see. Coming up next is Dana Finkler. What's up, Dana? You're on the air. What's your scary story? Got to get your phone online there. Just need to do a couple of super chats. Gaffer Anon said, keep it up. Thank you, Gaffer. Jeffrey Otero says, would it be all right for you to read my story for me? I got in line with the queue. Oh, there we go. Demcuthines. But my voice isn't meant for radio. Haha. Well, Jeffrey, you are next, actually. So if you're still on there when I get in there, then we're taking you next. Dana, what's your scary story, buddy?
Nothing about a scary story. I actually was going to call in to talk about some things, and then that lady kind of touched on what I'm dealing with. White Hat, I need your help, man. I literally need your help. I wanna find the lady that killed my dad and forgive her. Master Texas, 2007. Yeah.
Well, listen, send me an email specifically with the information, and I will transfer it over to Whitehead, and we'll see if we can help you, okay?
Other than that, I don't care. I'll dox myself and, just get a hold of me, Whitehead.
Yeah.
Other than that, Monday, Grand Rapids, I will, something's going to go down big. I'm gonna start protesting down Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we'll see what happens. I got lawyers and veterans behind me. So.
Okay. All right, man. Well, send us videos. We'll put it on the channel.
All right, man.
Yeah, good luck with that, man. That's awesome.
I'm going to hold up a sign that says Michelle Obama has a dick.
Come on, Dana. Goodbye, Dana. We'll talk to you later. God, don't do that.
The truth will stand when the world's on fire.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Jeffrey Otero coming up next. You're on the air. Demcuthines. Let's see. While we're waiting for him to get his microphone working, Just Cause says 2 streams, 2 super chats in one day. Last time for Spooky Stories, you guys helped me through a hard time. Reminiscing method story of the witch doctor. Good times. And then he also says, when I found the Great Awakening, I was going through sleep paralysis with demons attacking. RP's show with Justin Fall helped me through that. Awesome. That's great to hear. Also, JNBD and Schrodinger's Cat Pictures and Stone Faith Patriots all joined as members of the channel. And we're still waiting for Jeffrey to get his microphone working. Alexander Schacht says, I have lots of stories. Used to be a practitioner. That is right. That's Harvester that we just spoke with. And then also we have, that's it. That is all the super chats. So, Jeffrey, are you there, buddy? We don't have a microphone. While we're waiting for Jeff to get his microphone working, Floyd Standifer is going to tell us his scary story. Floyd, we got no microphone for you yet, buddy, but get that turned on and we can get that scary story and hear what's going on with you. You guys, Floyd, what you got? You got your vape there, buddy? Oh, Jeff, it's in my Twitter. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and remove you then if you don't want to say it. I'll read it. And then Todd Rubel says Epstein was the first to have corona. Okay. Floyd, do you see us? Floyd? I got no microphone. I got no audio from you, bud. Chris Hawkins says, my apologies, I hit the wrong button. The smoky misty figures were maybe angels, past family members anyway, who they were and are interceding. Very, very cool. Very cool. All right, well, while we're waiting for Floyd to get his microphone on, we're going to go to this next caller. And caller ending 8705, you're on the air. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. What can we get your name and then what's your scary story?
My name's Fred from New Hampshire.
Okay, Fred, what's going on, buddy? What's your story?
I got 2 quick stories, but I'll keep it under 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. 2. If it's under 2 minutes, then yes.
So one day, me and my ex-wife were driving down the road, and I live in the White Mountains in New Hampshire. So it's dirt road. My daughter was in a car seat, probably 2 or 3 years old, and we were driving over a bridge, and it was a small river, and my daughter said out loud, She barely knew how to talk. She's like, that's where I died.
Oh, wow.
And we were just flabbergasted.
That would be something that would quiet the conversation, I'd imagine.
So the second story
That's where she died, like past tense, or
like
is
past
she gonna
life.
die? Oh, okay.
No,
Yeah, that's
reincarnated. She's like, that's where I
right.
died.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
The second story was I was in high school in the same town, and my friends and I were out cruising. That's what we used to do back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And they took me down a back road, and I didn't know if they were playing a joke on me or a prank or anything, but we pulled the car over to the side of the road and we shut the lights off. There was no houses on the road. There was no street lights. It was just a dirt road. And they said, do 20 paces forward, turn around, open up your eyes. So, of course, I'm intimidated, scared. I didn't know what the hell was going on. And they said, just be quiet and listen. And I swear to God, I heard horses and like an old wooden wheel type deal.
Like a buggy, like a horse and buggy?
Yeah, it was. And I did some investigation. It was an old stagecoach road.
Wow. Wow, fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff. Well, Fred, thanks for the call, dude. Those were both really good.
All right, buddy. Have a good night.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good one. All right. Looks like Floyd's got his ears on. Floyd, what's up, buddy?
Not too much. I got 1.5, really.
Okay.
The crazy part is the first one was when I was 5 years old. Now, keep in mind, I'm 45.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I still remember this. The crazy part is about 8 to 10 miles from where I live right now, I was visiting my dad at his house because at that particular point in time, I was already adopted. Bright blue, sunny skies. We're halfway in shadow of all the trees and stuff that was around the house. Look up and I see a train, an old steamer train. And the only number I remember seeing on there was an 8. But I remember seeing a guy that looked exactly, dead on, like freaking Abraham Lincoln step off the train and literally salute me. But the second one was the weirdest one of all, and that happened only 5 years ago. Is when we were, I used to be in the unit called the 548 Transportation Detachment out of Pearl Harbor, Hawaii.
Okay.
We went to Portsmouth, Virginia, to pick up our boat, the LSV-7, Staff Sergeant Robert T. Kuroda. Ocean-going vessel, 317 feet at the waterline. All right, we were cruising. We went through the southwestern corner of the Bermuda Triangle. And out of all 35 crew members, only 3 of us saw this. And what we saw was 2 gigantic red eyes with a humongous, and I mean a humongous serpent-like form swimming through the water. And keep in mind, our vessel could only, at the shallowest, will draft only 8 feet. Fully loaded. All right, and we can carry up to 25 M1A2 Abrams tanks.
Mm-hmm.
So we see this thing, and I was the first one that spotted it. We see this thing, and it's cruising, and it is cruising. We were doing our best that we could ever do was 13 knots, which is like 10 miles an hour.
Okay.
This thing was going about 40 miles an hour.
Wow.
Under the water at a depth of maybe 15, 16 feet. No ripples, no nothing, none of that stuff. But it passed right below us from port to starboard, so meaning left to right.
Yeah.
And just kept going. And what we saw, we still can't explain to this day.
Any idea, like a length or a width, or could you just tell that it was serpentine and that there was 2 red glowing eyes?
Well, there was definitely 2 red glowing eyes. The length, I would have to say, would have been about 60 meters long.
It's about 30 feet, somewhere around there.
60 meters is just under 100, I believe 150 feet.
Oh, 150 feet. Holy jeez. Okay. All right. I'm way off.
But yeah, you figure 3.3 feet per meter.
Okay.
At 60 meters. Yeah, it's
wow.
a little longer than a football field.
Holy jeez, man. So that must have been pretty wide then, too.
I'd say probably, I'm going to put it footage-wise, I'd say maybe about 12 feet wide.
Okay, all right. So
the absolute.
That's still no puppy. That's pretty big.
No,
it was huge. But
wow.
It only passed us while we were in the Bermuda Triangle. And we were in the Bermuda Triangle for only an hour and a half.
Wow. And you just saw it swim by that one time.
Yeah, just that one time. We still can't figure out what the heck we saw, but we know we saw it.
Dude, the ocean is so deep and vast. I think that there's more unexplored area underwater on Earth than there is above water on Earth. So we definitely don't know everything that lives beneath the waves. Makes me think about The Abyss. That was a movie that freaked me out as a kid.
Great movie.
Yes, it was.
That was a great movie.
Yes, it was.
They say we know more about our own solar system than we do our own oceans. So.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
Was that Patriot that said that?
Patriot Report. Yep.
Patriot Report. If you can, please drop a link because I want to follow you.
Oh,
Methods, I'm already following you. Red Pill, I'm already following you.
Absolutely. Hold on. I actually
thank you for the follow.
I put it in the chat earlier. I'll drop it here in the chat in just a second. Again.
Oh, perfect.
Go ahead and follow him. Well, Floyd, thank you.
Honestly, I watch you guys all the time.
Yeah. You're a regular caller too.
Patriot Report. I want to watch your stuff too. But Methods and Red Pill 78, I love you guys, man.
Dude.
You guys are some of the greatest.
Love you too, Floyd. Thanks for your call, brother. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks for your service too.
Look for that link. Yeah, thank you for
welcome.
service. All right, sir.
You're welcome.
Peace. Great story. Absolutely great story. I wish that somebody would call in with like a Bigfoot story or something like that. I would love to hear about that. Okay, Floyd, I am throwing Patriot Report's Twitter into the chat again. There we go.
Don't do YouTube yet.
Okay. All right. So let me tell you this story from Jeffrey real quick. He says, a number of years ago when I was working for the U.S. Postal Service, I was down in the basement enjoying a moment of silence before continuing with my shift. I was sitting in a storage room by myself, reading, when I suddenly felt someone over my shoulder. Thing was, my back was to the wall. Up until then, I had not felt spooked out at all, but I tried to ignore it and return back to my reading, but the feeling never went away. I eventually just picked up and relocated back upstairs. About that time, I noticed some police officers in our lobby. They were friendly, but not people who I usually see, so I asked them if they needed anything, and when they told me, what they told me confused me. They said, the phone called us again. The phone called you, I asked, completely confused. They realized that I was new and explained that there was a phone downstairs which would periodically call the police station but had been disconnected for years. There was never anyone on the other end of the call that had to respond just in case. Each time they'd go down in the room and look around, and each time there was nothing. So I led them downstairs, and they pointed me to the room in question. It was the same room I had been reading in. The room had originally been designed as a bomb shelter, but from what they said, there was no history of it ever being used. I get the creeps just thinking about that presence over my shoulder. I'm getting the creeps reading the story. Good Lord, you guys. All right, coming up is Let's Get Real. Let's Get Real. We're just waiting for your microphone to get connected. And thank you very much to Just Cause. He said, Back Road, Vermont, midnight fire trucks blows by half a mile down the road. I saw a girl, dirty, bloody, crawling up the bank. It was a crash, scared me. I saved her. You actually scared. Okay, you came across a real, almost dead girl on the road, and you saved her life. That's pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy. Leah Bird said, thanks, Red Pill. Great show. Absolutely intense. Let's get real. You've got your microphone on. You want to unmute and we can get you in on the conversation with your scary story?
Yeah, okay. So I got to mute the TV.
Yeah, please.
I was with my fiance back way, 35, 40 years ago. And we were on a dirt road doing what young kids do, parking.
Yep.
So, and we had shots of 22s going off in the field. We had this repetitive banging on the water, which you mentioned Bigfoot a minute ago. And it was kind of that kind of sound that they depict on all the Bigfoot shows.
Like some kind of screaming, or was it like trees being like smashed and stuff?
The trees being smashed.
Okay.
And it was before too long. There was this creature that came up over the. We had my car, which had a sunroof in it, and there's a creature that came up over the hill. It was taller than the engine of my car, which was a Cutlass Supreme.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the sunroof open, so I said, "Get the sunroof shut," right away.
What did it look like, though? You said a creature, but do you mean?
The only thing I could describe it as, and I don't know that that's what it was a giant timber wolf.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and then my car died. The battery died completely. But as we sat there for a little while, it would gain power. And that was really weird because it was like the electric was just cut out. And then, you ever watch the movie Christine?
Yes, definitely.
Right? Okay, so this black car comes along. My boyfriend gets out to try to stop this car because our car won't start. And they about ran over him and hit him. I mean, they were within 1 foot of my car, and
Wow.
he had to get back against the car. And just strange things. It was incidentally the night that he asked me to marry him.
Oh, so good ending. Good ending.
Yeah.
All right.
So it took us like 7 hours to get out of there. But
Wow.
It was the weirdest night in my entire life.
Well,
but it was scary. It was really scary.
It sounds like it.
Cujo had just come out,
All the Stephen King stories. All right, well, let's get real. Thank you for calling, and thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. We'll talk to you soon. All right, guys, we are going on 7 minutes left in the program. We've still got many callers, so please, if you will, don't call in. Caller number 9598, you're on the air. Can we get your name? Caller? I'm talking to you. You're on the air. All right. Nobody's there. We're going on to the next caller. Okay. Next caller is going to be ending 0616. Caller, you're on the air. Can we get your name?
Yeah, it's Don.
Don. Awesome. Thanks for calling, Don. What is your scary story?
Well, actually, it's also Hive, too. So what up, guys?
What up?
All right, so here's the story. Back when I was 2009, I was living up in Forest Lake. I just got done watching Silent Hill, and so I'm not really one to watch super scary movies. And so that night, of course, I'm in my own room, and all of a sudden at 3 a.m. stuff starts happening. I wake up with a kind of scratch on my back. I'm like, what's going on? I look at the scratch, turn the light on. There's blood on my hands. And I'm like, okay, this doesn't really make sense since there's no actual blood underneath my fingernails or the skin, rather. So that's freaking me out. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Then I try to, shake it off, go wash it around in the sink, and then go back in the room, turn the lights off, try to sleep, wake up about 20 minutes later in a huge sweat, turn the lights on. I look in the 3 corners that I can see, with the lights on, mind you, like these lights are bright. And as soon as those lights went on, 3 black shadows filled those corners. Like, it was pitch black, those corners, which made no sense why that would happen.
That is super scary.
I was just freaking out. And I was like, okay, then I started hearing noises out in the other room. I'm like, okay, my roommate has cats, so that makes sense. No, they were in his room the entire night. And then I went out there, started banging on his door. I mean, it was pretty loud. He would not wake up. The next morning, those scratches were still there, but they were healed, almost like someone cauterized it. It was the creepiest thing ever. And then when he woke up, I'm like, dude, did you not hear the banging on your door last night? He's like, no. I'm like, dude, look at your door. I kicked in a little notch, and some of the wood was even busted off. I'm like, how can you not hear that? And he's like, no. And I told him the entire story, and all because of the freaking Silent Hill movie.
Dude.
3 scratches parallel to each other. Blood marks.
That's frightening. Silent Hill is not what you want to wake up to in the middle of the night.
No.
Bad. All right. Well, Don, thanks for your call, buddy. Thanks for your story. I appreciate it.
Yeah, see you guys.
All right. Peace.
Stay comfy.
Yeah, you too. All right. I think we're going to have time for one more caller, you guys. Caller number 1333. You are on the air. Can we get your name for the audience?
Kevin,
thanks for calling in, buddy. What is your scary story?
Well, I've got 2 different ones for you.
Well, Kevin, we've only got 3 minutes left in the show, so pick the scariest one.
I'm going to let you pick it. It's either my haunted house that I grew up in or a bout with the demon.
Let's go for the bout with the demon.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. I went to Medjugorje in 1992 in the height of the war against the government recommendation. And I had to be up on top of Mount Kruzovac so I could be with Our Lady at during her anniversary in the morning. So I took 5 people up with us, and we weren't supposed to be up there because there was snipers up there picking people off in the town. So I went up with this little pen light flashlight with the 4 other guys, and we got to the top, and there's a big 30-foot cross up on top there, and I set up an altar up there, and we were just talking, and then all of a sudden I got this feeling that something was wrong, and the priests in the town are Franciscans, so they wear the robe, the cincture, and it looked like one of the monks had come up to the top. So I was just getting ready to pray the rosary with these 4 guys, and I said, wait a minute, let me ask this monk if he wants to join us. So I yelled out to him, we're just about ready to say the rosary. Would you like to join us? And I got back, no. And that was it. I mean, every single one of us, like, we gasped, and my heart was racing, and I had this horrible feeling that I was going to die a horrible death.
Oh my gosh.
So everybody is just like scared. And I said, you know what, guys, we're in trouble. We're in real trouble. So I'm looking at this guy, and he disappears in front of me.
Wow.
And everybody's like, where did he go? Where did he go? And everybody's looking around, and he's trying to light a candle behind us. So he gets that candle lit. We're staring at him, and he's gone again.
So you're seeing him. You're seeing him.
Where did he go? And he's like, he's over here, and he's lighting a candle on the other side. So I said, we're in trouble. So we need to pray to our guardian angels and ask Our Lady for help. So we're praying to our guardian angels for help. And as this guy goes to light the 3rd candle, the first one goes out. And then we're staring right at him, and he's gone again. Now, where is he? Where is he? And he was behind us on the other corner. So this went on for 20 minutes. And every time he'd go to light that third candle, the other one would go out. And it went like that for 20 minutes. And I'll tell you something, Red Pill, I had never been so scared in my life. I mean, I'm shaking. We're all shaking. We all have this feeling that we're going to die a horrible death. So anyway, after the 20 minutes, he realizes he wasn't going to get him lit because I have 2 guardian angels. And one of them is a heavy hitter that I send to people that are sick. And I was thinking about sending Samuel to Methods when he was sick. But anyway, so after the 20 minutes, he gets frustrated and you hear, and then he's gone. And then all that feeling of dread just drained right out of my body. And we prayed. I did not go to sleep that night. I was up there to be there, first thing in the morning when the sun arose, because Our Lady is kneeling at the base of that cross, praying for peace for the world. And that's why we were there. So we went down and we got ready and we started praying, and Our Lady came and you could feel her, and you had this sense that you had no agenda in life at all. Nothing. You could have stayed there for eternity with her. So when we went on to the Our Father of the Rosary, she left. And you could feel her leave, because here we are back again, And then on the way down, on the sides of this mountain is like a sheer cliff. It's like a mile down. If anybody ever fell, they'd die. Mm-hmm. And I got the miracle of the sun, and it completely took me over. And I was crying uncontrollably, and beautiful pastel colors were coming out of the sun. Mm. And then the Eucharist covered the sun, and then our Lord's heartbeat in the center. And I'll tell you what, I was crying uncontrollably, man. Wow. I could not get myself together. Then finally I broke away from that, and we're headed down, and there was another group coming up. And I looked off to the horizon, and it was just like somebody had taken a black magic marker and filled in the horizon. So I told this woman when we kind of met paths, I think you better turn around, because it looks like we're in for a really, really bad storm. And I had never seen anything that black. So we get down to the road. She blew me off. So I was like, okay. So we get down to the road. And the roads are only wide enough for one car, So we turn the corner going back to town, and I see this beautiful blue awning on top of this shack that should have been taken down years ago. There was nothing left to it. And it was this awning was made of metal. So as soon as we got under this beautiful blue awning, and it was Our Lady's color blue, the rain started, the lightning started, hailstones. The lightning was crashing down around us. It was so damn close. Mm. And it's crashing on the side of the mountain, and we're watching this, So I said to these guys, I think we need to pray for that group that just went up there. This is bad. And the rocks are so smooth from people walking on them on the way up there that they're really slippery. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we're praying for them. And then a hailstone falls in front of this kid, Peter's foot. And he was kicking around the thought of what order he wanted to go in as a priest. So he picks it up and he goes, hey, look at this. Inside this ice is a perfect figurine. And he goes, it's Our Lady. And my brother looked at it and he said, it's not Our Lady, it's a Trappist monk. So he got his vocation. And then it was the sound, like the hailstones came down so hard that it was deafening on this metal tin roof. And it was, and the lightning crashing down around us. I mean, we're all starting to get scared, Mm-hmm. So I had the Pieta in my pocket, which is a little Catholic prayer book, and there's a prayer for storms. So I said to him, I'm going to pray the prayer for storms. And when I hesitate, You say amen and I'll continue. So I said the prayer, and at the final amen, it was just like somebody shut a light switch. The hail stopped, the lightning stopped, the rain stopped, the sun came out, the birds were chirping, and it was like, wow, I was just taught the power of prayer.
That's amazing. Straight message from God. Okay, so I have one question for you before we end. What did what did that monk's face look like? That demon monk. What did his face look like?
I could not see his face.
Couldn't see his face. Oh God, I can't even imagine.
And that was scary too, because like we're all like, he mainly kept his back to us for one thing, because he kept trying to light these candles around us.
Mm-hmm.
And if he had Red Pill, if he had gotten those candles, we were trapped.
Yeah, you would have been stuck there.
And we knew it. It was. I'd never been so scared in my life.
Well, I'm glad you made it out, and I'm glad everything turned out okay. But thank you very much for your call. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you, guys.
Yep, no problem. All right, guys. Final call of the night. I do want to thank everybody for coming tonight. EO2 Dave says, I live in a bungalow, 89 years old. When I'm in the basement, I hear walking upstairs. When I'm in my room, it sounds like people moving around the house. And then Filled with Hope says, when I was 5, I had a dream where my dad introduced me to his dad. My grandfather died before I was born. What I described was what he was buried in. I had never seen photos of him. My dad's greatest wish had been for us to meet. Well, it sounds like you guys did meet, but it was in the dream world. All right. Well, listen, I want to thank Methods and the Patriot Report for being here with us tonight. Patriot Report, tell everybody once again where they can find you, and I'm going to go ahead and drop that link into the chat box.
You can find me on Twitter at Report Patriot, just reverse it. And I do have a YouTube channel, but I haven't gotten around to posting any videos yet. I'm gonna start making content. How can I compete with somebody like you? I mean,
well, there's no competition. There's enough room for everybody.
That's it. Well, I was just thinking earlier, and then I know some chat tonight's been like a blast from the past. I feel like Art Bell from Coast to Coast.
Yeah, definitely, coast to coast, Red Pill style. All right. Well, listen, thank you so much, Edge of Wonder, Derek. What's up, buddy? Glad you're here. Methods, are you still there?
Yeah, man, I've been just listening.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, what do you want to say to the audience?
No, hey, I had a lot of fun listening to the stories. I hope everybody has a great night. Stay safe, and shameless plug. Sunday, Comfy Sunday, we're gonna have Craig Mason on. Red Pill's not in the hospital,
yes,
so that's fun.
Yeah,
glad to see you doing well on that. But yeah, that'll be a lot of fun on Sunday.
Thank you so much. And then I want to shamelessly plug the show for tomorrow night. Did you guys know that somebody else wrote the script for The Matrix before it was stolen by Warner Brothers and the Wachowski sisters or brothers or whatever? Well, the original and actual writer of The Matrix is going to be joining us tomorrow night, guys. You're not going to want to miss this. We're going to be talking about the lawsuit against Warner Brothers and some really crazy stuff that happened as a result of that story. So, as always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News for Friday Night Livestream. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.